How's it going, everyone? My name's Austin. This is my friend here, Travis. This video is for my Applied Movement Anatomy critical assignment. What we're going to be doing is analyzing Travis's running form. We're going to be looking at the gait cycle, breaking it down, and kind of finding ways that Travis can improve his running form and gait cycle. So first thing, we're going to go outside, check out his form, find the problems. We're going to go through some of the exercises he could do while he's running. We're going to talk about some resistance training that I feel can help him out with his running, and we're also going to do some mobility work and some stretching. And then towards the end of the video here, we're going to show an example of what a good running form would look like, and we're going to talk about that a bit. But first things first, let's head outside and we'll check out his running form. All right. So right off the bat, we are going to notice a couple areas that he can improve on. For one, we want to look at his leading foot here as he's about to strike the ground. He has a very large angle in his front foot. He's dorsiflexed it quite a bit, and he's making contact with the ground at his heel. We also notice his knee on his front leg is nearly fully extended, and he has a very great angle of flexion at his hip. So what that's doing is essentially every time he strikes the ground, he's putting himself on the brake. So ideally, we want to have his foot striking directly under center of gravity, and his foot's going to be flat on the ground, traveling backwards, and he's going to have a slight bend at his knee when that happens. So after we talk about this, we'll talk about a few ways that he can combat that and start to fix it a little bit. But next cycle, we'll talk about a few other things he could learn. All right, so one more round before we get into fixing this form here. One other thing we want to notice is that he has a very high vertical balance between each stride. So he's using a lot of energy projecting himself vertically as opposed to forward, which is what we want. Also, as we look at his back foot before it starts the swinging phase here, we see he has very little flexion at his knee. Ideally, we want to flex the knee as much as possible so he creates a smaller lever and has to use as little energy as possible moving his foot forward to take another stride. Also, it's hard to see when it's in slow motion here, but he has a very low cadence. It's probably around 50 or so steps per minute. What we want to do is get that cadence up to around 90 to 100. That's just going to help his form all around and improve his running stride overall. All right, so what you're seeing here is Travis performing a couple resistance training exercises. I selected these specific exercises because they focus on the hip extensors, the knee flexors, and the ankle plantar flexors. So some of those kind of areas that we could fix in his running form, I believe could potentially be from weakness in muscle. So, working on these exercises can potentially fix his form here. I would recommend he performs these exercises 2 times a week, and each week consistently progressing his weight and trying to improve his weight and improve his overall muscle strength. So after he performs these exercises, we're going to look at a few stretches that I believe will help his running form as well. All right, so what you're seeing here is Travis just performing a couple simple stretches. Primarily, I want him to focus on his hip flexors, his knee extensors, and perhaps his calves a little bit. The goal really of this is to help in his pre-swing area so you get a little bit more flexion at the knee and not have to work so hard to bring his knee forward. I suggest he does this twice a week, 15 seconds per muscle group with a 30-second rest in between. All right, so coming up on the finished product here, we talked about some strength training exercises. We talked about some mobility exercises. What I'd really suggest is that he meets with a professional twice a week to really look at his form and see what progress he's made and where he could still improve on. The main suggestion for me would just be that he does run on a consistent basis. This resistance training is great for building strength, but running is very unique. I think he could build that strength the best from running itself. As far as cadence, I would recommend that he might try running with a metronome. Set that metronome to 9,100 beats per minute so he could hear himself and try to get his pace up from 50 whatever it was to 90 to 100. But after these little tips we gave him here, let's see what the finished product looks like and look at his running gait. All right, so not quite perfect yet, but we can see a lot of improvements. I think his angle of his ankle when he's striking the ground is much better, much closer to being flat-footed when he's touching the ground. Also, the angle at his hip is a lot better as well, pretty close to being under a center of gravity. We can notice a lot less vertical bounce between each stride, and his cadence, hard to tell again from the slow motion, but it looks like it's up a little bit. So those are all really good things. Keep in mind just a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of exercises can come a long way with running. And I think with some of these tips, you can improve your running gait in just maybe a month or so. But other than that, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And hopefully, someone can get some knowledge from this.